there's a really fun thing that we want to do, and hopefully we get to do it live. And it'll require massive audience participation, but I think with our fans, they're going to be in for a really fun night.
Skinny, it's wonderful to sort of see you, but man, hey, new album is coming. It's coming very soon as we're talking. How are you doing, man?
Excellent, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do the interview, and yeah, totally looking forward to the new album. We got like 9 days left.
Exactly. The countdown is on. Now, with all this, and this obviously, like, you don't start a process of an album 9 days before an album comes out, but what's the mindset now? Because you're a guy who has seen it all, but then we had this sort of comeback, let's call it, in 2020, following the Righteous and Butterfly album, and that was really well received by critics. That must have at that point already lifted a weight off your shoulders, because it's always it's always a moment when you've been away for a few years, but now you have to like confirm that with the follow-up, if you will, of the new era. Even for somebody as experienced as you, does that bring pressure?
I don't know if pressure is the right word. Maybe on the last album it felt like that before COVID, but a lot of this album, was written with this post-COVID vibe. And this one, man, I feel we're hungrier than ever to just get back out there and perform, fresh material, both to the crowd and for ourselves. To play brand new music for the first time is always, an amazing thing to do. So yeah, again, really looking forward to this new album coming out and getting out there and playing some of it live.
Now, this is the second album with Napalm Records, a very different kind of label than the labels you've worked with in the past. What makes Napalm a fantastic partner for you guys in 2024?
Napalm's been great. They really have their finger on the pulse of like metal and, just music in general. And one of the things that we've, developed with them is a great working relationship in regards to letting us have artistic control. They kind of like what we do, so they're like, just keep doing what you do. And, if there's anything, you could, use help with or whatever you guys need, let us know. So it's been very collaborative. And it's just been a pleasure to work with them so far. And another thing has been more of the European touring opportunities coming from them. So yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. All right. Now, before we get lost completely in the album and everything that's coming our way, I want to not look back, not at all, but I wanted to ask you a question because everybody that follows the band knows that there's been some changes in the band, quite a few. Like at certain points was a bit of a revolving door at Mushroomhead, but for you, like, is it harder to find the right musician, or once that person is found, finding their character, if you will, their alter ego within the band? Like it must not be easy to find somebody that A, fits the bill musically, but then also B, is able to really find themselves in the crazy world that your band creates. Like help me understand, like, how difficult is that?
Well, it definitely is difficult at times, and you could probably make it more difficult than it needs to be honest with you. I think when you're with the right creative people and there's a very similar mindset, and like I said, being very collaborative and open to critiquing and just hearing other people's ideas through, there's a bit of a balancing act for sure. It's not always easy, but there's also an excitement, new blood brings new character to the table in many respects, and sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. So I think that is a little intriguing to me personally, especially in the artist realm, right? It's almost stepping out of your comfort zone into the unknown, and you end up with something that you never thought you would or never really imagined before. So it is really it's a yin yang type of thing, man. It's really it works with itself, and it complements and contrasts in different ways. And like I said, it's difficult, and if you have the patience and you have, like I said, the mindset with the people you're collaborating with, man, you can come up with some things that you never dreamed of.
Yeah. Is it in a way then also necessary? Like, what I mean by that is, you guys are a band that, people have, tried and failed to really label you guys. Like, you always bring us with surprises. This album as well, I've obviously had a chance to listen to the new album. And, you guys are a band that the moment you think you kind of know what's going on and what's going to happen, you guys give us a curveball and something else happens. That kind of, keeping things different and changing a lot. Would that have been possible if the same group of people from beginning to end for 30 years would have done it? Or do you, like, is that new blood almost like a necessity to keep it surprising in a way?
Well, I definitely think it definitely keeps it surprising because we don't even know what's going to happen sometimes. Right. And, there is, the fear of that probably with many artists that you get stale working with the same people, being in your, like I said, in your comfort zone. Getting out of your comfort zone to the point of you don't even know if it's going to be anywhere near what you had before. Sometimes that's scary for artists. So, it is a difficult balance for sure. But as far as like the Mushroomhead world, I think, this is album number 9. And if people have like a good grasp on what we've done, and if you even are kind of new to it, if you looked at it almost more of like art and cinema than a traditional band, and think of like, say, Quentin Tarantino and all his movies, you know what kind of world you're getting into. And a lot of times it's the same actors, and a lot of times it's the same style, movies. And, as far as there's going to be comedy, there's going to be drama, there's going to be violence, but you know what kind of world you're getting into, even if you don't know the exact characters. And he brings back a lot of the same people in different roles, and same crew people, same cinematographers. So if you think in that kind of regard, that's kind of like a different way to look at what Mushroomhead does.
To stay within the same, in the metaphor or what have you, Quentin Tarantino, well, not a metaphor, but comparison. If Quentin Tarantino now also, because of he made this, he created this world and people go in with expectations. Quentin Tarantino will never really be able to put out just like a rom-com, right. Mushroomhead it's almost going to be like unacceptable for you if the next album was like 10 songs that are very close to Smoke on the Water, like the straightforward rock songs. Like, does that sometimes feel limiting, that you go like, well, we need to have these curveballs? Like, do sometimes songs in like post-production, do you guys like change stuff around a bit still, or help me understand that creative process?
Well, I'll tell you, on the creative process, a lot of times the majority of it is very spontaneous, to where we do sit down with a piano and a drum set, or a guitar and a drum set, and just play and see what comes out of us. And there's many different emotions from week to week and recording session to recording session, and I think that's part of the drama that's all over the Mushroomhead albums. So there's a lot of fast-paced aggression, and then there's some doom and gloom. So a lot of the like I said, the recording process, especially on this album, was very spontaneous, and we kind of just went with our gut feelings for that day or that session, if you will. And that's what again, it's crazy how some of these albums end up with that much diversity, and that's what actually makes them similar.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think maybe our ADHD, pulls through and shining, colors or whatever. But it could be part of it. And I think some of it too, we don't want to stay making that same song or that same sound. We want to, like I said, challenge ourselves, keep ourselves entertained. And at the end of the day, if we like it enough, because we feel we're kind of jaded, right? Especially artists are really difficult. They're their worst own critics. So when we start to like something collectively, we're like, okay, well, maybe we can share it with the world now.
Right. One of the things, like what I liked about this album was that there's like some elements of the band's music, are either a little bit more prominent than before or completely new. Like for me, one of the songs that really stood out was UIOP a final reprieve, in which, when people try to describe your music, they'll often throw stuff out like, there's groove metal there and alternative rock and there's industrial. But in that song specifically, I almost got like a John Oliver and Savatage vibe at times. And then that song with like the 1-2 punch, if you will, of prepackaged, for me, that's like right in the middle of the album. That's one of the highlights, those two songs combined. What can I keep my fingers crossed that I will see both these songs live?
We are absolutely working on the prepackaged, and I've been coming up with some great video concepts for UIOP. It's one of my personal favorites. Once we were done with it and I listened back through the whole album, that one, like I'd said in another interview at one point, that it's got like a Nightmare Before Christmas meets The Exorcist vibe to it. It's haunting. It's like it's fun. But it's nightmarish. Like it's chilling. That's a hauntingly beautiful piece, man. I absolutely love Stevie's delivery on that. He's got so much sincerity in every word that he's speaking. And then the bridge just comes in, and like I said, that's the part that reminds me of Nightmare Before Christmas. You hear all three voices, and it's like lock, shock, and barrel going to town right there. The whole thing's great. But I'm hoping to do a video for that one, and then hopefully bring it to the stage as well. So I'm glad you brought that one up. It's a personal favorite.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's a cool song. Yeah, it definitely packs a punch, but in a very different way. And I don't want to spoil too much for people that haven't had a chance to listen to it. But go check out that song.
It definitely lives in the Mushroomhead art world. We're slightly art damaged, but if people dig that kind of stuff from us in the past, you'll really like this one.
When you guys were coming out, well, not even when coming out, when you guys were like 3-4 albums deep, whether or not you wanted that, you kind of were looped within the whole new metal wave that was at the time extremely popular. Again, liking it or not, that kind of music, that sub genre of rock, has become extremely popular again in the last 5-6 years. We've seen bands from those days, Korn and Limp Bizkit, we see them headline massive festivals. We see a ton of new bands, young bands that weren't even born in the late 90s, kind of adopt that style as well, and we see a lot more tours with these bands happening. How is that kind of translated to your audience? Like, are you seeing a younger audience than you were expecting following the 2020 release? I know that COVID obviously, locked up a lot of show possibilities, but when you're playing shows, like, are you surprised to see an audience that clearly hasn't been around for the full ride because they simply were not born yet?
Yeah, it's really cool because, Mushroomhead just hit 30 years, and being here the whole time, it's truly become a generational type of thing to where you see people that used to come to your shows when they were 25, and now they're bringing their 6-year-old son or daughter, and their whole family's there. It's really, really cool to see that type of thing happen. And, it's not something that you expect when you start, doing this. So when that whole era of bands, that got labeled new metal came about, we were like, well, we've been doing this for a while, and we don't really think we fit in your label, but we understand you got to put a sticker on the CD and sell it somehow and call it something. And that's what's happening right now. So, to me, that label new metal doesn't really define a sound so much as it does an era, of time.
Like the Wobbin in the 80s.
Yeah. So there's that kind of attitude, unless you're thinking of strictly metal bands that put a DJ in, because then that was kind of the new metal thing for a second too, I guess. But either way, it's really interesting to see that kind of coming back and being an influence again, especially for the bands like you mentioned Korn, and anyone that's been doing it the whole time. They didn't go away and have it a comeback.
Right.
They never left, man. They just kept rolling. So to see them have, even more excitement, more fans, it definitely makes me hopeful that more people will look into this Mushroomhead thing.
You say that.
If I had to pick a second highlight moment, if it was the last 3 songs combined of the record as well, which is a roller coaster on its own, we get the Doom Goose. And so I cannot, please, is there going to be Doom Goose specific merch at these upcoming shows? Because if not, that's a missed opportunity, my friend.
Oh, we have a plan We have we have a golden doom goose egg planned for the merch. We have there's a really fun thing that we want to do, and hopefully we get to do it live. And it'll require massive audience participation, but I think with our fans, they're going to be in for a really fun night.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, to talk about shows, let's to wrap us up. Let's highlight what's coming. You've got a bunch of Euro shows coming first. You've got some really cool festivals playing, but then later we've got the October tour, and so fair to assume that we'll have to wait for the October shows to get a ton more new material in the set.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how busy we are. I mean, we come right back from Europe and there's another show, like a festival, like 4 days after we get back. Depending on if we're going to have the opportunity to do another video, that's going to take up some time too.
Yeah.
And there's some other, things going on. So again, it's just timing and, logistics, money, time, all those fun things. We'll see what the label has to say about video number 3 as well. But if we're not doing any of those things, we're going to have more time to rehearse. So,
right.
And it's difficult, 9 albums, you pick 2 songs off every record, there's 18 songs, and we're going to be here for a while. So it is really tough. And we actually have been throwing around 2 different set lists right now, so we can keep ourselves entertained, and maybe night to night, you won't see the same show.
Yeah, that would be nice. Well, Skinny, it's so great to see the excitement and the momentum that has completely come back for you guys. After 30 years, not many bands have that privilege, I guess is maybe a good word, to have yet a new wind blowing in the sails, and it's exciting to see that. In a few days, this album's going to come out, and all the fans can react to it, take it, relate to it, and let you guys know what they think of it. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know how busy you are, and I look forward to seeing a lot of content from all these shows coming up, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for a bunch of Canadian shows to be added soon.
Right on. We're pushing for 2025 to get up there, man. So keep an eye out, and thank you so much for taking the time to do this today.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.